we want you to understand Islam. Now you need to realize the religion is called Islam. The followers of the religion are called Muslims. So you're not studying Muslims, you're studying Islam, the religion. Okay. Now, so when I talk about Muslims, those are followers of Islam. Just like when I talk about Christians, those are followers of Christ. Okay. Christianity is a religion. Followers of Christ would be Christians. So keep your terms straight. When we talk about Islam, don't call Muslims, the people, Islams. Religion is Islam. Call them Muslim. Don't call Muslims Mohammedans. Now, it used to be that some people did, particularly people from the West. That's misunderstanding and confusing, because Muslims do not claim to be followers. Well, they do claim to be followers of Muhammad, but really they're followers of God. Okay. They submit to God, not to Muhammad, supposedly. Now, you'll find some difference when I begin to tell you about what they think of Muhammad, but don't call them Mohammedans or Mohammeds. Okay, they're Muslims. Now, some people will say Muslims. A little bit of a difference of pronunciation. Muslims or Muslims. Now, I'll show you why. Islam has one common language for all Muslims that is religious. It's the only religious language, and it's the language that God speaks. You didn't know God only spoke one language, did you? Well, we don't agree with that. But, according to Muslims, God speaks Arabic. Okay. Now, when you talk about Islam or Muslims, you have this word. Now, Arabic writes from right to left, not from left to right. So it's a different language. What I have just done is I put 3 letters there. I put a meme, I put a sin, okay, and I put an L. M-S-L. If we were to spell it, it would look like that. And that would be what we call radicals. Now, they add vowels to make the sound. But their vowels are different than what we have in English, probably in Chinese and Korean and other languages too. So the sounds are not always the same. So when you hear Muslim or you hear Muslim, there's just the difference in a sound. The one has more of a U sound, Muslim. The other has more of an O sound, Muslim. They're both the same. But in Arabic, I speak Arabic, we say Muslim. We're actually saying Muslim here. And we link those, actually, and it looks like that. So that's just how you write and link those letters. Okay. So it's made from 3 letters, but with different vowels. So a Muslim is the follower of S-L-M, Sulam. Again, no vowel. Now sometimes when they speak, if you know a Muslim anywhere in the world, they will say Salam Alaikum or Salam Alik. Salam means, we think, not exactly right, but we think it means peace. So when they say hello, they say Salam Alik, which means peace be unto you. Okay. Or if there are many, they say Salam Alaikum, because that's plural. So when we start our class now, I will say to you, Salam Alaikum. And you will say to me, Salam Alik. Because there's only one of me, there are many of you. So now you know Arabic. And you're wishing me peace, and I wished peace for you also. But the word peace is not exactly what it means. We will talk about that later. So what I'm doing is I'm showing you that language differs between cultures. Now, the point is, language belongs to a culture. And cultures that are different have different languages. So when we talk about Arabic, is there only one Arabic that God speaks? How many languages does God speak? Well, if you're a Muslim, you say one. Then you say, well, which one? Because there's language, there's Arabic in Egypt, there's Arabic in Jordan, there's Arabic in Morocco, where I used to live, there's Arabic all over, and sometimes they don't understand each other. But they all claim to understand God. Because God speaks one language, and He revealed Himself in one language. Well, how do we know which language? Muslims fight over this all the time. What they do agree is the language that is the Quran, their holy book, is the language God speaks. Now, if you translate the language, then that isn't God speaking. So every Muslim should learn Arabic. That's in their mind. But do they? No. What I'm saying is that language is part of culture. But it's not everything in culture. You can share a common culture, but with different languages, or at least forms of the language. China is a good example. You come from different parts of China, but you're Chinese. Okay. So when we talk about understanding people, we want to understand their language and what it means, and we want to understand their culture, how the two relate. We call that verbal and nonverbal culture. Okay. Let me just take this off. I don't think we need that now. Okay, I'll just put here verbal. That's language. Nonverbal, that means not language, but everything else in culture. So when we want to understand Muslims, we want to understand how they understand themselves. Not just how we understand, but how they understand. So if they say salam alaikum, what do they mean? Well, it's a greeting, it's a good thing, but they mean more than just the word that we translate peace. Now, I will come back to the meaning of that later. What I'm trying to say is it's complicated to understand people. To really understand them, you have to know their culture. And to really, really understand them, you have to know their language. And that will be a big challenge. You're finding that out. To know somebody, you have to become introduced to their culture. Then you feel like you know them. And sometimes you learn new words. Now, how do you get to know and understand Muslims? Same way. For Muslims, in their culture, hospitality is the most important thing. So they invite you often to their home if you're a friend, if you make yourself friendly. And that is very important to get to know them. You learn from their language, but you learn from meeting them. So while you're in San Francisco, while the class is going on, go outside and see if you can meet a Muslim. Just be a friend. Okay? Don't be afraid. Talk to them and see if you can get to know them. That will help you very much, because the first thing you have to know to understand Muslims is to know what's in their mind. Now let me ask you, what's in your mind? That's a big question, isn't it? How did you begin to think the way you think?